At the start of the 15th century, the world had 15,000 languages spoken. Today, in 2014, there's only around 7,000. Every 14 days, a language dies. By 2100, more than half of the more than 7,000 languages spoken on Earth, many of them not yet recorded, may disappear, taking with them a wealth of knowledge about history, culture, the natural environment, and the human brain. Of the 7,000 languages in the world, at least 3,000 are currently endangered. When a language dies, knowledge, language systems, stories, diversity, poetry, all these things die with it. So as you see, it's a very difficult and troubling problem. Watch this video for more on language death. So you see the problem. A language is said to be dead when no one speaks it anymore. It may continue to have existence in recorded form, of course, traditionally in writing, more recently as part of a sound or video archive, and it does, in a sense, live on in this way. But unless it has fluent speakers, no one would talk of it as a living language. This is from David Crystal, Language Death, Cambridge University Press, 2002. As this says, when a language no longer has speakers, then it is considered a dead language. There are some languages in the world where only one or two people still speak it. A story is told of two men in Mexico that speak a language, and they live a few blocks from each other. They're the only two men that still speak this language, but they will not speak to each other. So I would say that language is dead because there is no communication with it. One thing about language death, you listen and you think, well, okay, these are languages that, are backwards people and poor people. This could never happen to any of the common languages. Look at this map here, and I'm sorry you can't click on a highlighted area. My link did not work. But look at where these languages are in danger of extinction. Every continent, and actually North and South America, seem to have a heavier population in the severe and the high ranges. Africa, you would think, with so many different dialects and languages, you would think Africa would be a big one, but it's really not. In our country, A lot of the Native American languages are in danger of extinction. South and Central America, a lot of the mountainous and jungle regions are languages there are in danger. So it is a prevalent issue. And again, before you think, well, that can't happen to the dominant languages today, think about Latin. Latin was the most spoken language in the world once upon a time. It was the language of the Roman Empire, which covered most of the world. And Latin is considered a dead language. Now, it is still used by some scholars, and some people would say that it is being revived, but Latin is a dead language, and, the mighty have fallen. Hebrew is another one. Sure, Hebrew is still spoken in Israel in some places, but Hebrew, as it was in biblical times, is considered a dead language because it is no longer the same language. Even some forms of Greek are considered to be dead. Australia is losing languages. The Aborigines. Lots and lots of language loss and language death happens every day. At the end of the day, language death is ironically a symptom of people coming together. Globalization means hitherto isolating peoples migrating and sharing space. For them to do so and still maintain distinct languages across generations happens only amidst unusually tenacious self-isolation, such as that of the Amish or brutal segregation. Jews did not speak Yiddish in order to revel in their diversity, but because they lived in an apartheid society. This is from John McWhorter, The Cosmopolitan Tongue, the Universality of English, World Affairs Journal of Fall 2009. This picture here is showing us what can cause languages to die. And globalization is the main cause of language death. People coming together, people are able to speak, or able to contact, to be in communication with people that speak languages other than their own. Therefore, the more dominant languages are taking over. English is the most dominant language in the world. And as a more dominant language comes in, people learn it. Do you know English actually is taught in schools all over the world? And very few languages are taught here in the United States. Spanish, you'll find. French, you'll find. But, here in Jefferson County, they're beginning to teach Chinese to the elementary schools. My daughter took Chinese. They say that Mandarin Chinese is the most spoken language, but there's more Mandarin Chinese people than anywhere else. But globalization, everyone has to learn to speak English, for instance. Well, when this happens, people begin to speak this other language. It becomes easier. We've learned about code switching. It becomes easier if you can't think of a word to, stick in a word in another language. And eventually, languages are lost. Students, children, in this country especially, that have come here from other countries, tend to lose pride in their cultural identity. They tend to, not want to or not be able to learn their own language therefore they may lose it. And the world is becoming smaller, and languages are becoming maybe less necessary to have so many different languages, and therefore, some language are taking precedence or taking dominance over others, and language are being. I think most importantly, as teachers, we can allow students to teach their language to others in school. We can instill pride for them. As ESL teachers, especially, I see that so often the push to learn English is great, and these children never learn their own languages. So I think instilling a sense of pride in them for their countries of origin. A lot of children don't want to. A lot of students want to, push it aside. They feel awkward. But making schools so multicultural, making multiculturalism a big deal, I think helps to make sure that languages stay at the forefront. A lot of students, especially those from Africa, speak multiple languages, and having them teach others those languages keeps those languages alive, but it also promotes a sense of enjoyment and desire to learn those languages. Promoting learning of unique and endangered languages, I think, would be a great way to revive languages that are in danger. Becoming aware of and working to promote funding to preserve national languages. There's lots of organizations. The one on the slide with the video was one that is very involved. There are groups out there that want to help, participating in organizations that study and promote languages. All of these things are important as global citizens and also as teachers to help prevent language death. Thank you. I appreciate it, and I hope you've learned something from my presentation today.